vessel while it's going down the ways. We would not want our boat to tip over, okay? So what we have is individual timbers just loosely stacked in around the belly of the boat, and they're held with the vertical timbers of strong backs on either side, linked with a big huge chain that runs right underneath the keel. So that way it's going to keep her straight up as she goes down over. If something would go wrong, if this big hull would tip over, you're looking at almost 200 tons in weight tipping on her side, okay? So with that said, I don't know how many men you think it takes to launch a vessel of the size of our Bluenose that's down at the shipyard now, but back in the day, it would take 40 men. They had 5-pound pin mauls. We divide them up on 20 on either side of the ship, and what we had to do is basically transfer weight. We do have wedges here. Paula got an original wedge. There would be anywhere between maybe 30 to 50 per side. And as well as how do you hold that together? We have brakes. We have iron dogs, 2 on either side here, but there would be a lot more. But these iron dogs connect the sliders to the groundways so the boat won't move. The other brake is a big pair of trip shores, or 6-foot timbers, and those are the last things to be knocked down to actually send our trip from the shore right into our big harbor. Now, of course, we're very superstitious on the water. We could go on all day about superstitions. But the one main thing is, of course, is we do not launch ships on Friday the 13th, and we also need the highest point of the high tide. If she would come down the ways and stick in the mud, the gossip would go through town, she'd never get a crew. There'd be no way, right? These boats were big employment for the town, right down to the outfitters, the people who put the grub on board, etc., right? 28 men for employment, okay? So, we're picking a launch day. Today's not a good launch day. Low tide, not good right now. But here what we have to do, of course, is we have to make sure the ways are greased. Back then we wouldn't have Teflon. It was wood on wood, so therefore we'd use a second-grade cod liver oil or maybe a beef towel, okay, to make the ways nice and smooth. So what we're going to do now is we have to get sort of serious because we're a religious town, right? We got many churches, right? And we want to make sure everything went safe. So what we did was we invited a minister to come to the ship.
Okay.
Funny as we call him, he's Reverend Newman from the Church of the Yard Sale. He had knee replacement last year. As you can see, he had a bit of repair. And so he blesses all our ships here at the museum. And then as well, you'd need the best dressed lady in town that day, obviously with that big bottle of champagne. And so that we actually christen the ship and we give her a name. And so therefore this one here we've been calling Bluenose II all summer long. And when the Bluenose II was built in the 60s, it was a big deal. You know, thousands of people came to Lunenburg to see the launching of that vessel. And so Paula will give you the honors today. All right. All right, give her a big hand. This Bluenose II, of course, can be seen at the Lunenburg shipyard. She is our sailing ambassador for Canada, and we rebuilt the hull in 2 years, and she is now a new boat for the whole new generation that's coming along to keep our story alive of the East Coast fishery, okay? So what we're going to do at this point is that we're going to ask for 4 strong, brave volunteers. Now, you're going to have to make up the strength of 20 people, 10 people each. So if you got it in you, come on up and try.
We'll do that. That'll be fun.
Now, not only do we take young ones, we take the young and old, okay? So if you guys want to volunteer, you come on up. All right, we got 3. We need 1 more. Can't do it. Can't do it. We need 1 more. We'll have a bad luck vessel.
Do I have to pick somebody?
Yes, Paula, pick somebody. All right, here we go.
He knew he was going to get picked. Just stand right over there.
Now, of course, at the shipyard, when this job was going on, the noise was so loud that would carry over to the neighboring town. You can just imagine how loud it would be with the clanking of the wedges. These men had to work in unison. Like I said, we don't want our ship to tip over. But as they are wedging up, you will actually see the ship rise. And what we're doing is we're transferring weight and we're lifting her off the keel blocks onto the groundways, up on the chains to get her ready. You guys up for the challenge? All right. what we're gonna do is we're gonna take the flat end of our hammer and we're gonna pound these in. When I say wedge up, you work here and you work here. What you do is go tap, tap, tap. If something falls out, don't get scared, okay? Are you ready, team? Wedge up!
Wedge up!
Wedge up.
Wedge up!
Tap, tap.
Let's go!
Oh, good work, Steve. Go, go.
Here we go. I got the rhythm going. Yeah.
Now you got it right up.
There we go.
Now I think they heard that all the way down to the shipyard. Now actually, if you really looked underneath the vessel, you'll see that we left a space there between the keel and the blocks themselves. As Paula says, where she's short like I am, they used to pick the vertically challenged to climb underneath the vessel. And they literally had to knock out all the keel blocks. We don't want those in drag as she's going down. So now the next order, of course, is we have to start removing the bricks. And so what we're going to do is we're going to pound the dog, these here, 3 dogs, and these have to come out of the water completely. Pound them this way, that way.
Could you go on this side? There you go. You're going to hit the ends there, yeah?
All right, when I say dogs out, my God, if we don't do it all in unison, the ship shall take a life. I'm the launch boss, you see, okay? Have you noticed that? All right, are you ready? Dogs out.
Okay, go deep. Okay, go, go, go.
Hit it hard.
That
There
thing's
we
done.
go.
Whack it
Pull
off.
out. Perfect. Now, of course, the only thing that's holding it there are the trip shores, so it's at a very crucial state. Anything could happen. But what we're going to actually hope and pray is that she does float. Okay? Now, when it comes down the ways, our packing will actually sink. But remember, this is actually loose timber. As soon as it hits the water, it all blows apart, so it's free floating. Okay? Now, of course, harbor masters are good at harbors for catching things, but here, what happened is when it does hit the water, a tugboat would have then towed it to an adjacent wharf where they completely outfitted it.
We have
all
a
right?
picture of that.
So now with that instruction, they know what they're doing. I'm going to tell you what you're doing. You guys are going to be my cheering 1,000 people. I want you guys to yell loud enough that they mess up the putt over on the golf course. And so what we're going to actually do is we're going to do this together. We have the newspaper here and the paparazzi for the front page paper. And we're going to count to 3. And we're going to yell knockdown. And when it hits the water, we're all going to cheer as loud as we can possibly cheer. So you guys can all handle that for me this morning? Yep. You didn't know what you're getting yourself into, did you? Welcome to the launch. All right, you guys all ready?
We're ready.
All right, Paula, let's go.
Here we go.
1, 2, 3, knockdown! Another successful launch we had. And so, like I said, here in Lunenburg, what we did was we basically shut the town down to have a big party. And we really, when Bluenose II was launched, we had her over to the community center. We had a big old party filled with dories, ice, and schooner beer. And so that's canceled today, right? So, but we really appreciate you coming along. Thank you for coming to our museum and giving our helpers a big hand.